More and more women are delaying motherhood, and a campaign has been launched to alert women to their declining fertility. Now, we often hear about women in their early 40s becoming mothers, but specialists tell us that's not the norm, and there are far more failures at that age than successes.
Melina, General Manager of Essential Baby, an online community of women, believes that young women in their 20s could save themselves future heartbreak by considering motherhood now. Melina joins us from Sydney. Good morning, Melina.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What are the optimum years for childbearing?
Well, last week the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists released a report reaffirming that the optimum age is between 20 and 35. Yet in Australia we're seeing more and more women delaying motherhood into their mid-30s, sometimes early 40s. Yet after 35 your fertility decreases dramatically. But we don't have enough
it just plunges,
education about that. It does. It does. 35 is that magic number.
Why isn't there education on it? Why aren't young women being told that they really need to get a wriggle on and you know, get a bun in the oven sooner rather than later?
Well, I think that we didn't really have the data until our generation, Generation X, delayed motherhood. And unfortunately, we're the guinea pigs. You know, we're going through all of the issues related to fertility. So I think we have a responsibility to tell the next generation, get on with it.
And are you seeing a trend with the next generation already? Are they delaying, or are they starting to think about this?
Look, some are. I certainly work with a generation who are putting their career first, and they see that a lot of celebrity mothers are delaying childhood and having their children in the 40s, and they think it's all going to be okay. Yet on Essential Baby, we've got hundreds of stories of regret of women who wish that they'd started to try for children earlier. So in reality, the celebrity world is completely different. That's
true. I mean, these people have all the money in the world, and they have all the experts in the world, and they have all the assistants in the world, really, don't they? And that's just not a reality for most women.
It's absolutely not a reality, and you know, you only have to go online and read some of these stories. They break your heart. And some women have actually started trying to have children in their early 30s, but you're not actually diagnosed as infertile until you've been trying to have a child actively for 12 months. 12 months can turn into 2 years, 3 years, and you're sometimes in your late 30s before, you know, you have your first child. And if you want more than one child, that can be devastating.
Well, exactly, and this is the point. I've got a handful of friends in all of these situations. One girlfriend who's in early menopause at 40, you know, another one who has one baby and would like more, and another one who's now discovered that her eggs just aren't viable at this point. Because one thing we often don't hear about is the use of donor eggs internationally. In Australia, it's not commonly done unless it's by a relative, but internationally that's a growing trend, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is the thing that a lot of leading obstetricians are saying is the most frustrating element of these celebrities being put up as the role models of delaying motherhood, because we don't hear about that. And the reality is that's happening more and more often. But your average woman can't go through that process. It's expensive, it's time-consuming, and yeah, there's a lot of other factors involved.
Do you think many women consider IVF and assisted reproductive technology as a viable fallback position without actually really researching it beforehand?
Yes, well, around 10,000 babies this year will be from IVF, and for many women, IVF is an unbelievable miracle.
Sure.
It really is, but age still has an impact on IVF. So your eggs are still impacted by your age.
So what are the success rates for IVF depending on age?
Well, after 35, it drops dramatically. So it doesn't matter if you wait until your 40s, your eggs are still the same age. So it doesn't matter.
What are some of the other implications of leaving it too late? You mentioned earlier that your fertility just plummets. What are some of the other complications with leaving it too late or later?
Well, at 35 you're half as fertile as you were at 25, and at 40 you're half as fertile as you are at 35. So it's going to take longer. There's a higher chance of miscarriage, and there's a higher chance of complications with the baby, with childbirth, and that's why we're seeing higher caesarean rates. It just becomes a lot more difficult. And I don't think the Generation Y, which are those in their 20s now, have any idea about this. They really do believe that it's all going to be okay and they can delay delay motherhood.
What should we be doing then, particularly for those women, those Gen Xers? Should there be a publicly funded education program?
Look, I think so. I really do. And you only have to go into Essential Baby to read the stories and think, why weren't we told about it? And it doesn't have to be a lecture campaign. I think it just needs to be an awareness campaign to say these are the factors, involved in waiting. Your fertility decreases, your chances of losing babies increases, and the complications increase as well. Are you prepared for that?
Melina, did our mothers let us down? Should our mothers have been there telling us that, no, in fact, you can't have it all? You've got to actually prioritise babies?
Well, a lot of people ask me this, and I think, well, it's an interesting question. And certainly my mother was very focused on getting my education, my travel, financial independence sorted.
Mine too.
Yep, and I'm glad I've done all that. But I think the fertility issue hasn't really been discussed enough, and I think we actually have a responsibility as Generation X, who know more about it, who can tell our the next generation to be aware of it. I think we actually have a responsibility because most of us have a friend, like you were saying, Kim, most of us have a friend or a family member who's going through a horrible process of trying to conceive, and it is heartbreaking. And most of these women go, we just didn't know.
Yeah.
What is that realisation like, just quickly? I mean, how do you cope with that realisation when you suddenly realise, I have left this too late? Or, as you said, you may have one child and you really want another one.
Yep.
The realisation must be extraordinary. Must be very difficult to cope with.
Yeah, it is. And there's also the issue of, actually having a child, and then you have secondary infertility, which is really common. So, you finally have your first child and after 2 years, and then, it can take you 5 years to have a second child, and that is horrendous. And I was talking to a woman the other day, it was 42, and she'd been trying for 9 years. Sure. And it dominated her life. It dominated her partner's life. It became everything that they spoke about. It affected their friendships, everything. So, and I said to her, what would you change? She said, obviously trying to conceive earlier.
Yeah, look, Melina, it's good to chat to you. It's a really important discussion to have, and, young girls out there, just don't leave it too late. Get on your bike. Thank you so much, Melina.
Thanks, Melina.
Thanks very much.